Guys, let me explain something real quick. Uh, this video is split in two parts. This is part one. It will cover from rank 100 to rank 21, and part two will cover the top 20 engines.
Hi, my name is Dan, and a few months ago I finished playing 100 Lion Last Defense Academy, and honestly, I think it was probably one of my favorite games of all time. I love it so much, in fact, that I'm here doing my very first YouTube video where I plan to rank all 100 engines of 100 Lion Last Defense Academy. But before I explain how these rankings are gonna work, I kind of just want to talk a little bit about my history playing Kodaki no Shikoshi games. Kodaki no Shikoshi, of course, being the main minds behind 100 Lion Last Defense Academy. But if you want to skip straight to the explanation, I'll put a timestamp here somewhere. So I think it was 2011 where I first played 9 Hours, 9 Persons, 9 Doors, one of Ushigoshi's most famous works. And I fell in love with the game almost immediately. I love its story, I love its characters, its design, its puzzles. But the thing that I loved the most was probably the multiple choices you had that could lead to very different engines. Multiple engine games were not that common back then, so it felt pretty novel, and it was probably the second game I played that had that mechanic. The first one being Fahrenheit. So it was really mind blowing at the time. On the year after that, they launched its sequel, Zero Escape Virtue's Last Reward, which I couldn't play because I didn't have a 3DS. So I watched the entire thing on YouTube. I watched the entire gameplay on YouTube, which was probably more than 120 videos, because I did not watch just one engine. I watched all 24 engines that game had. So I I think I watched multiple times actually. So it was very fun because it felt like they took these small concepts they had in the first game and they just multiplied by 1,000 or something. It was incredible. 4 years later, in 2016, they would launch the Zero Time Dilemma game, the third and final game of that trilogy. And although the game had a few issues, I think it ended the trilogy very well. And the year after that, they launched the first two games as a package called the Zero Escape, the Nonary games. They released it for Steam and consoles. So it was the first time I actually got to play Virtue's Last Reward, which I loved. And I also was able to replay 999 with a lot of improvements, like voice acting, which the game didn't have the first time. If I loved the game the first time, then after with the incredible voice acting was just incredible, amazing. I don't even have the words to describe how much I loved the game the second time around. They also added a mechanic that is a staple of Ushikoshi games since Virtue's Last Reward, which is the flowchart mechanic. Basically, how it works is that if you made a choice that led to a specific engine, you can go back to a point in time during the game to make a different choice to see where that choice would have led, instead of going back to a different save file or start the game from the beginning. Basically, it's a very time saving mechanic for people who really want to see all engines the game have to offer. Eventually, I also got the Zero Escape non games duology and Zero Time Dilemma for PlayStation 4, so that my brother, who mostly played PS4 games, could enjoy the games as well, which he did a lot. He loved its story, he loved its characters, and eventually he convinced me that we should try Danganronpa as well. So this is a little bit embarrassing, but as you can see, the lighting change is because I had to turn the lights on because it got dark outside. I have been trying to finish recording these videos for a few hours by now. So eventually we got the first two Danganronpa games. I think it was 2021. I played them and really, really loved them. Uh, my brother played them and did not like it as much, but I was so into it that eventually I watched the Danganronpa 3 anime, and even bought the Danganronpa V3 game, which was the last game of the trilogy. I thought the engine was a bit iffy, but it was also a very fun game to play. I didn't play any of the spin-offs though. Thinking on it, I guess I remember the Zero Escape series way more fondly than I do the Danganronpa series. I honestly think I remember the Danganronpa series more for its flaws than its qualities, but I still think those were very great games. Me and my brother would also play AI the Somnium Files and its sequel, AI the Somnium Files Nirvana Initiative, which were probably two of the most incredible games we have ever played. The story of those games, the characters, man, I think those were the most fun characters in any of Ushikoshi's games. And Nirvana Initiative's plot twist is just something so mind-bending. I think I have never seen in any media ever. It's probably the biggest plot twist I have ever seen in a game. So I fully recommend both of those games. But other than that, I haven't played any other Ushikoshi or Kotaka's work. I have not played Rain Code. I haven't played Tribe 9. I haven't played World Ends Club. So I have not played any of the games they made together since they joined, except 100 Line Last Defense Academy. In 100 Line Last Defense Academy is an incredible game. I hear a lot of people making the comparison to 13 Sentinels Aegis Ring, which I also play and think it's a masterpiece that everyone should play. I would say that the biggest difference though, and be patient with me because this is not gonna make sense. I think 13 Sentinels is a masterpiece because it's a masterpiece, while I think 100 Line is a masterpiece because it is imperfect, in a sense that even in its flaws, it still feels amazing. It still feels incredible. It still feels like almost like a piece of art, which it is if you're pro the games are art conversation. But honestly, I can't think of any other way to describe just how much this game can make something incredible even of its flaws. Okay, but enough about me. So let me explain how these rankings are gonna go. The first rule is that gameplay elements will not play a part in this conversation, this video. They will not weigh on how I rank these engines. I am only focusing here on the story behind each one of these 100 engines. So gameplay will not play a part here. Second rule is I am ranking engines, not routes. I am doing this because I think some routes have incredible engines, but stinky ones as well, so ranking engines feels more natural to me. But I will say that the story before the engine, by that I mean the events from day 1 to day whatever the day the engine takes place, will affect the engine score. For example, if the first 10 days focus on something and then the plot takes a whole different direction, then that will definitely affect the scoring of the engine negatively. I will also not include the first scenario here in this ranking, as it is more of a prologue than an engine, but as a bonus, I will show where I place it when I get there. And while the order you see each engine might affect how we enjoy it and judge it, I promise to try to be the most objective I can. But remember, this is still a personal list. It is my opinion that some engines must suck for the incredible ones to shine brighter. So let me start by saying there is a lot of engines I didn't like, as you can see here. From rank 100 to 75 are the ones I consider terrible. From 74 to 53, the ones I consider bad. From 52 to 42 are the ones I consider mid. From 41 to 28, I consider good. From 27 to 16 are the ones I consider excellent. And from rank 15 to rank 1 are the ones that I'm calling the above and beyond tier because they are just out of this world. And even though I'm not ranking routes, I will say this. Because of the story similarities between engines of the same route, you will see a lot of engines of the same route grouped together throughout this video. In fact, among the 20 routes, there are 4 routes which I think are so terrible, with one worse than the other, and with almost no good qualities, that for these 4 routes, the engines are going to be grouped together like it would be if I was ranking routes. I'm not super sure I explained it well, as English is not my native tongue, but I think you will get it. So, spoiler alert for this game, obviously, and there will be a small spoiler for the Zero Escape games, the AI Somnium File games, and the Danganronpa series. But I will let you know before I start talking about these games in case you will want to skip it. I don't think I will spoil major story beats though. And the award for the worst route goes to the comedy route, obviously. And the award for the worst engine of this game goes to Engine 84, Mother Ocean. Just what the hell were those fish heads, man? Was this an attempt at a Hatoful Boyfriend style of comedy? If you don't know, Hatoful Boyfriend is that visual novel about dating pigeons. I think the comedy route doesn't work overall. To give examples, the whole thing with Gaku's bribe, Daromi wanting to send death messages to people, Takumi exploding off smart chassery or something, and of course the damn fish head. The fourfold break also did not work, feels completely out of place in a game like this. And honestly, I think this route kind of betrays how it started with the whole serial killer plot line, which was really interesting. I guess the comedy of it was that Takumi ended up killing a version of himself without realizing it. When I take the whole route and think back on it, I think I had exactly 2 laughs, which was Takumi listening to Gaku talk about Yuri for 12 straight days. That was funny. And the end of the smart ass retort, Takumi's last line. Man, the voice actor Jay Rincon, he delivered the line, man. That line about the clown cars, that was funny. So as you can see here on screen, you can see where I ranked each engine of this route. But in case you don't remember them by name, let me go through them real quick. So the one called No That's Wrong, that's the other one with the fish head. That's the one where Takumi tries to guess why it happened. The Ultimate Slapstick, this is the one where Takumi decides to clown out instead of retorting. And then he starts to breakdance for some reason. It All Worked Out is the one where they make a comedy of Takumi being blown up by the bombs. OKAC is the one where Tsubasa tells him the affection meter is actually just a sleep analyzer. Burned Out is the one where he asks Nozomi if she likes him and he is shot down hard. Stupidest this engine ever is the one where Takumi throws Sirei on the bombs. like that's gonna accomplish something. And at my limit, that's the funny one. That's the one where Takumi equips and is blown up at the end. Next on the terrible routes lineup is the romance route. This one also doesn't do justice to its start. Imagine seeing all the initial mysteries from the steady fundamental route, and suddenly it becomes a romance visual novel where the game ends not when you beat Vashnis, but when you choose your girlfriend, which can happen as early as day 50. I think the idea was to allow for Takumi to be able to date all characters, like a romance visual novel. The problem is that unlike the Eva and Vashna's route that make those romances interesting, this one just didn't. The biggest problem though weren't the romance developments. I think those were great actually. My biggest issue was the setup. The Dream Trigger was nonsensical, ridiculous, and felt like a forced way to make these characters interested in each other. The idea of a romance competition during Earth Invasion is pretty dumb, and Takumi kinda mentions this even in the Moko engine. I think that if they wanted to offer a possibility of romance with most of the female characters, I think they could have developed the relationship with Kyoshika in the zombie route, when she and Takumi were the last survivals, and developed the relationship with Koraura in the conspiracy route, as maybe she would seek Takumi for comfort over her guilt of Gaku's death. I think that would have definitely made that route a lot more interesting actually. Maybe they didn't want to take themselves super seriously with the romance, or maybe they felt that a route specific for romance would give more time to flesh out these developments. But honestly, nothing forgives this silly romance competition setup. And Tsubasa didn't even need that because she had a beautiful relationship with Takumi in the Killing Game route. That sentence sounded weird, but okay. I think I'd rather they focus on Kako or Moko instead. I get that this game is a hybrid visual novel and they wanted to do many things, but the romance route felt too out of place considering the rest of the story. So let's go over this ranking, shall we? So in rank 92, we have Living the Dream. That's the one where Takumi dreams about marrying all three of them. Man, that was not needed in this game, man. Dream Come True with a question mark. That's the one where he ends up with Kurara, but instead of kissing her, he kisses her feet. Is this a Tarantino movie or something? Number 90, Dream Come True 2. That's the one where he ends up with Kyoshika. I like the romance, but I think it was the weakest out of the three of them. In the middle, we have number 89, Dream Come True 1, the romance with Kurara, which I thought was just a little bit stronger than the one with Kyoshika. And Dream Come True 3, that's the one with Tsubasa. Like I said, I didn't think they needed that, but I thought it was a nice story that they had in this route as well. Consolation, that's the one where Takumi decides to not date anybody and ends up being consoled by Moko, who seems to be interested in him even though she doesn't fully show it. I rank this one high because they have one of the most rational conversations in this entire route, so I thought it deserved that place. How I feel, that's the one where Takumi confesses his love to Nozomi and ended up being shut down hard again. I thought this one was logical because Takumi always had a thing for Nozomi, so it made sense. And the one on the top of the romance route is Graduation Day. This is the one where he decides that he will not date anybody, but he feels like he still wants to get to know them after they leave the academy, which also feel very rational considering what they went through. Uh, and I also like that the name Graduation Day is a nice reference to Tokimeki Memorial, a classic romance visual novel, which definitely was an inspiration here in some sense. But overall, terrible route. So the next one is the conspiracy route, and you might have guessed how I feel about this one from my previous comment on it. I watched some people online talk about this route and calling it wasted potential, to which I completely agree. I think most of the engines feel samey and they introduce an interesting new group but fail to deliver on any of its development. Maybe the idea here is that after the death of Gaku, the group's third big loss, Takumi just becomes tired, feeling like he came back in time to save them and failed, so he would do anything to save the ones remaining. Honestly, I don't think I have much to say overall about the route, so let's just talk about the engines individually. So the first three are extremely similar. Just a test is the one where Goto convinces Takumi he was just lying and that all he said was just a test, which is a lie to make Takumi drop his guard so Goto can off him. Empty Words is the one where Takumi tells Kurara the death of the three comrades they lost was not in vain, and then he and Kurara are immediately taken out by Goto. A fair point is the one where Takumi refuses to take Goto's red pill and then is immediately taken out by Goto. I bumped this one high because I think not taking the red pill is supposed to be the right choice, but isn't for some reason. Out of Ideas is the one where Takumi and Kurara decide to not kill Surrey, and then a few moments later they are taken out by Surrey. Basically, the game's trying to lock you in a path of destroying Surrey no matter what you choose. So number 80, Liar, is the one where Takumi can say the death of everybody was pointless to Nozomi. So the SDU chooses to stay and then Goto immediately blows him up and probably the rest of the SDU as well. Faltering Resolve is the one where Takumi hesitates to destroy Siri, so Siri kills him in Goto. Plans Exposed is the one where Takumi confides his plans to Hiroko instead of Kurara, and is immediately sold out to Siri, who offs him. I found this one interesting because it slowly shows Hiroko's is being actually brainwashed by Siri. So at the top we have Lamps to the Slaughter, which is the main engine of this route, which I actually quite liked it. I think it was really interesting how the Takumi's dialogue presents you a bunch of choices, but the game doesn't actually give you any because Takumi feels so tired at this point that he isn't interested in fighting Goto. He just accepts Goto's lies. He just accepts it so he can get away from all of this and take the STU with him, which I thought was really interesting. So the last of the terrible endings is the Coach of Takumi route, and I'm gonna be completely honest here. I try to be extremely objective in making this list, but if this was a list of personal tastes alone, these two engines, Living Idol and Overlord, they would be at the bottom of this list. They would be number 99 and number 100 because I hate this route, man. Fanaticism as a thing in any sort of media can be a little bit of a hit or miss, and in this case, in this route, it was a miss for me. it isn't the first time Kodaka presents fanaticism as a theme in his works, but I think he did way better in his previous works. As at least in those games, it was a bit of a plot twist. In 100 Line, the idea is just to make you uncomfortable, but it doesn't stop. It just keeps going till it gets unbelievably dark to a point where it's not enjoyable anymore. At least for me. I will say again that taste is key here. I can understand people who like this route, but to me, increase in pheromones as the reason for the break in everybody's characterization is just lazy writing at best and beyond terrible at worst. Let's talk about some more bad points. Takumi and Yugamu, who are my favorite characters, really sucked in this route. Takemaru's death leading to this stung, but I'm really glad I didn't have to see brainwash Takemaru. Some people say that the absence of his grounded nature is what led to this, but I don't think this was translated into the story at all. The way Nozomi was treated was terrible in both engines. Uh, I guess I'm glad for the explanation about Takumi personality changes, as at least it tries to explain why he would make such selfish decisions, but it wasn't enough. I guess Tyrant Takumi, the one in the picture actually, was a little bit interesting, the whole idea of him wanting to take over the satellite, but man. So now that I have talked about these four awful routes, one worse than the other, I can start to rank it by engines how I initially have wanted. However, I am still organizing it into groups because of the similarities of each engine. There are still a lot of bad engines, even in the good routes. So the name of the first group of bad engines is called Gaku Sucks Engines. I actually was the one who named that, and I think the name speaks for itself. As a character, I find Gaku sort of irredeemable. I think he exists to make other characters shine, following a logic like if every character is interesting, then no character is interesting. I mean, the guy even caused the zombie outbreak in the Last Defense Academy, but I'm not gonna talk about that here. I actually really like those routes. I'm here to talk about these two engines, which are awful. The Box of Calamity route Exercise Plan and the Blocks of Blessings route Gaku's Harm. I hate both of these engines. I mean, I don't think I don't think they are really worth to get into it. You know from the name what happens in them. I think you probably remember, so I'm just gonna skip this one over. So, unlike this group of engine, the next three groups of engines will contain a large chunk of the engines. They will actually cover from rank 72 to rank 40. And I don't actually will have that much to say about them because this is the point where the bad engines will slowly turn into mid quality, where I won't have that many positive things to say about it, but I will also won't have as many negative things to say about it. So this next one is the Takumi is stupid group of engines. And I know this sounds harsh, so I want to explain since I'm going to speak ill of Takumi in the next couple of engine groups. You see, the way Ushikoshi has worked with branching paths in his games before was very specific. He always gave his main characters, the playable characters, well defined personalities, but he still gave the player options to decide the path they would take, but that kinda created a problem. The problem being that sometimes the choices you, the player, make did not make sense for that character to make. I could give examples, but I don't want to spoil these great games. But I will say this, the problem was a little less noticeable after every new Yoshikoshi game. But in 100 Line, this problem is reversed. They give you a main character that has potential for making smart decisions, but dumb one as well, introducing him as average right off the bat. The problem this time is that Takami would sometimes give the players choices they would never make. For example, Takumi saying that himself is the culprit. Uh, I do, however, believe that should be fine. The developers probably knew that players who got through the first 100 days and still wanted to play would either play to see where their choices would lead once or a few times and then stop the game, or they would play to see all engines, even if in this game you don't actually have to. But the fact is, the player can make Takumi do some very stupid stuff, and that leads to some very subpar engines. So at rank 72 we have Mystery Route Dancing the Purple Flames. This is the one where Takumi accuses himself of being the culprit for the first murder, which was Kaku's murder. So then it skips to day 100 where Yugamo is trying to kill him, and then Nozomi gets in front of it and then ends up being killed by Yugamo accidentally, and then Takumi and Yugamo end up getting killed by the Purple Flames during the struggle. So, rank 71, we have Mr. Roach Terminated Sumino. So, this is the one where you get the second culprit wrong, the culprit for Shoma's murder. So, it skips a few days, and then you have to choose again between the only remaining survivors, which is Takumi, Moko, and Nozomi, and you choose Takumi, which means you get to be uh, immediately exterminated by Moko with a butcher knife. But if you accuse Nozomi instead, you get the Mr. Roach A Kind Heart Well Done, where she immediately throws herself in the purple flames out of despair. So these choices were really stupid. Takumi either accusing himself or accusing the person he's in love with. They are the ones that make the least sense to me. So at rank 69, we have the Redstone route Too Late for Regrets, which is the one where he tries to calm the little purple monster down and is immediately eaten by it. Not very smart, man. At rank 68, we have Rebellion Route Failed Alliance. This is the one where they try to make an alliance with the Futurans through Commune, but then for some reason they immediately choose to not trust her, and then it ends up with Commune killing Nozomi. At rank 67, we have the Coming of Age Route Howdy Neighbor engine. This is the one where he needs to explain Nozomi's secret, but instead of telling everybody the truth, he and Nozomi use a lie that Aito came up with, which was very stupid from Takumi's part. So Takumi is immediately thrown in the garden jail. At number 66, we have the Killing Game route, as good as Dash. This, of course, is the one where he's playing the killing game alone, but he refuses to get Shugamu's help, so he ends up being killed. At number 65, we have the SF route, the Scent of Lavender engine, which is the one where he chooses to fight even though he's terribly wounded. Can't remember why they couldn't revive him after he died on that battle though. At 64, we have Mystery Route Lost in Darkness. This is the one where you get the culprit for the first murder wrong. So the killer starts to pick off the SDU members one by one. To eventually, there's only Takumi left, which is also killed in day 99. And at rank 63, we have Mystery Route Explosion. This is the one where you fail to discover X identity, and she blasts you with a grenade launcher. So, the next group of engines is called the Takumi is a Coward engines. It has the same problem as the last group. The players can make Takumi do some really cowardly choices, but a coward seems a bit harsh, so I changed the last minute to uh, how do I put it? Takumi Elect Resolve engines, which sounds much worse. Rank 62, we have Redstone Route. We are one. This is the one where Takumi basically lets Redstone absorbs everybody. At rank 61, we have Redstone Route. It's all your fault. This is the one where Takumi blames Darumi for letting Redstone basically absorb everybody. They are they seem similar, but they actually happen in very different points in the story. Rank 60, we have Slasher Route, Flight of the Living Dead. This is the one where vampires, sorry, not your vampire, where zombie Takumi decides to bite Kurara. So basically, everybody turns to a zombie and gets on the gets on the ship to get out of Filtrum. Box of Calamity Route Misguided Pity is the one where Takumi finds out Nozomi is the one who has been possessed by the Gi but can't bring himself to tell the others. So he just kind of gives up and lets Gi Nozomi kill him. Casual Route Embrace Fantasy is the one where he's trapped in the dream, but instead of taking the pill who will get him out of the dream, he chooses to take the pill who is gonna make him be trapped in the dream forever. So, yeah, he made some very cowardly choices here. Game round one loser is the one where he decides to not save Hiroku and Darumi, and he ends up being trapped in the garden prison, I think, by Takamaru's group. So he basically loses the killing game and is the first one to get killed. The coming of age route best friend is the one where he chooses to sacrifice Nozomi so he can defeat Eito at the end, which we can see from the choice of not sacrificing her that sacrificing her was actually completely unnecessary to defeat him. So it was a very cowardly move on Takumi's part. Uh, at rank 55, we have coming of age route Unending Nightmare. This is the one where you don't accept the Fireboy's request to sacrifice himself to save Nozomi, so Nozomi ends up dying. At rank 54, we have the Killing Game route, Battle for Eva's Points. This is the one where Eva gives you the choice of killing her, so you and Nozomi can get her points, but you choose to not do that. So both you and Nozomi, and I think everybody actually ends up dying on this one after fighting each other. In the ring 53, we have the Coward's Final Days. This is the one where Takumi doesn't attack Kakoji when he has the chance. So Kakoji runs off with Nozomi, and Takumi decides to stay in the other timeline to try to find Nozomi, but he isn't able to, and Day 100 gets there and basically he dies in the fire. So yeah, not a great group of engines for Takumi. Now we go to the average quality engines. This is where the engines start to be mid-level for me. So although I don't have many negatives to say about it, I also don't have many positives, as these engines did not stood out. So I'm just going to list them here. At number 52, we have the Box of Blessings route, the Value of Trust. This is the one where Takumi chooses to not trust Gaku and handle the situation himself. And for some reason, Aito shows up and decides to kill him. Uh, as I said before, I do believe not trusting Gaku should be the right decision here, so I don't agree with how this played out. Rank 51, we have the Rebellion route, My War. This is the one in the image here, where you choose to save Nozomi instead of saving Kamui. So in the future, Nozomi ends up becoming a teacher for the Futurans. At number 50, we have the Box of Calamity route, Knife of Despair. This is the one where Takumi attacks the shadowy figure and gets hurt. Then he wakes up only on day 100 to find that Kako is the culprit and that she basically offed everybody. Number 49 is the Box of Calamity route, one step at a time. So this engine is one where you actually find out early that Nozomi has a Gi possessing her, and I think she's killed really early in the game. Uh, and the engine is actually about Takumi deciding to stay in Futurum the day at day 100, so he can tell the Futurans about Ava. Number 48 and 47 are both from the Box of Blessings route. Number 48 is Better Off Without, and number 47 is Something Inside. These two are actually really similar. Basically, you get all the boxes, but choose to not use them. And the only option the game actually gives you is if you want to seal the boxes or burn them, which give you like practically the same engine. Number 46 is the multiple idols route, Eternal Hate, Aito or Aito, I don't know how to pronounce it. Uh, this is actually the worst engine of the multiple idols route, in my opinion, because I don't think it makes a lot of sense for Takumi to just give in to the hate for give in to the hatred he has for Aito and deciding to kill everybody because they all look like Aito. I don't think that makes sense. So yeah, I think this is the weakest of the multiple idols route engine. Number 45 is Mystery Route Pinky Promise. So this is the one where you find out Ava was responsible for Shoma's murder and you decide to confront her. I believe the words the game used was shutting Ava up. And when you get close, she blows herself up, killing Takumi and probably everybody else as well. At number 44, we have the killing game route, the Academy Falls. This is the one where you choose to not abandon Moko in the killing game, but that choice actually leads you to an engine where you fall under an illusion that the Academy was destroyed. Uh, the responsible party was the that invader who could make illusions. I believe was Turatami the name. So yeah, it is unclear what happens after that, but I believe after you fall under the illusion, Turatami probably kills everybody. Number 43, Mystery Route Revenge for Moko, is the one where you get the culprit for Shoma's murder wrong. So you end up on day 100 with almost everybody being killed during that time, and at day 100 there's only Takumi, Moko, and Nozomi left. So this is the one where you choose Moko as the culprit, and then she attacks Takumi, who kinda kills her by defending himself, and then he is killed by Nozomi as revenge for Moko's death. So yeah. And at number 42 we have the Casual Route Face Reality engine. This is the one where Takumi is trapped in a dream that was induced by Surrey. And then at the end, Surrey gives him a choice uh, to stay in the dream forever or to wake up to a sad reality. Uh, in this one, you choose to face reality, but it seems the battle was already lost from 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 the picture, which I believe is this one here. So yeah, uh, not a great changing. So there's actually two more engines that I consider to be average quality, but I feel like both of them are actually quite superior to these ones, so I almost put them on the good engines, good engine section. But at the end, I still think they are at the average level, but I put them on a separate slide so they could stand out, which are the Killing Game route, A Cruel End for Coming, and the Box of Calamity route, Echoes of the Dead. At the A Cruel End for Coming engine, you actually have to choose between dealing with Dalcia or the sponsor first. And dealing with Dalcia first actually leads to this bad engine where the sponsor figures out that you're trying to get rid of him, so he gets rid of Kamui in an attempt to make you attack him and break the game rules, which works for Nozomi. And I think it is implied that everybody else kind of decides to attack the sponsor as well. So yeah, not a great changing for the SDU. And at number 40, the Box of Calamity route, Echoes of the Dead engine. This is actually one I had to rewatch, and I kind of think I got this one early in my playthrough because when I rewatched it on YouTube, I had a whole different perspective about it. You see, in this one, Nozomi asks Takumi if he thought Eva was an evil spirit, to which he replies yes, and somehow I think he has his guard down, and Nozomi kills him because she was actually possessed by the Gi. After that, it is unclear what happens. You get into a fight with Vashnas, which you're in fully control, but right after the battle, I think it is implied that you were all actually zombies, and that Takumi was actually unaware that he was a zombie at that point, because the game doesn't show you exactly that. But I think that is heavily implied when at the end Takumi looks at them and they all feel like they are dead, which I never realized the first time because I didn't got the zombie. I hadn't gotten the zombie engines yet, so it was it was a very interesting rewatch. So it's only the good engines from here on. Not all characters had a focus engine, but I did feel like the devs tried their best so that every character would have an engine to shine, or at least receive a little bit more focus. But if they had to choose only a few characters to have these virtuous, less reward style character focused engines, I am really glad they went with Shama. The Shoma engines being this high might be personal preference speaking, but I can really empathize with Shoma's character. I definitely see myself in his insecurities and in thinking he is the worst person in the room. I, for some reason, for example, always start every sentence with "sorry to bother you," even though that is not the norm culturally speaking. In case you don't know, I am Brazilian. And by the Shoma engines, I mean these two, the Box of Blessings route Never Forget and A Brighter Future. Although I consider these two good quality engines, I will say that they feel a bit forced. I really don't think they needed Shoma in the last battle, and in the engine he dies, it is a bit unclear why they couldn't just revive him. So that one's lower for that lack of logic. But I will say that Shoma's outsider perspective and empathy towards the Futurans was a very interesting point, as few of the SDUs seem to question the reality of what they were doing. The serial battles route. This is one route where you can really see the consequence of your actions. I overall think it was a very smart use of the elements the game had presented at that point. Having the firewall down showed just how vulnerable the SDU can be without it, and led Vietnamese to discovering the parallel leap machine, which allowed her to basically triple her number of commanders. I do understand that people that had to fight multiple times hate this route, and they have the right to. But like I said at the beginning of this video, I am only evaluating the story, and in terms of story, I think it was a good route overall. I do think the engine where Takumi chooses to go back in time is a little lower, the one more time engine. For one, the PML doesn't actually allow for time travel, so if you already knew that, makes this decision pointless. Second, he already saved 3 more people. There was no guarantee he could save more on a third attempt, so I don't know if the intent was to comment on his addiction to the fight at this point, but the ending where he decides he's tired of the fight feels much more meaningful. Next is going to be the Box of Blessings best engines. I already went through most of them. There's only two that are left. Of course, this also means this is as far as the Box of Blessings engines go. As a route, it was decent, but I do understand everybody who hates it, considering that dreadful exploration minigame. But like I said on the previous route, I'm only evaluating the story, not the gameplay. And let me say this one more time. I love that this game has simple elements but make them into much more. We see the GI, for example, a simple idea being used in multiple routes in very different ways. Some clever, but some kind of silly. As for the Box of Blessings route, it seems like a simple idea being used in a simple way, but I kinda love it, simply for the fact that it feels like a nod to Dragon Ball from the late Akira Toriyama. I also love that this simple concept is deeply tied to the lore of Himo Anima and the Futurans, and I really like the prime odd number little puzzle choice at the end, leading to very distinct interesting endings. In case you didn't get by this point, I was talking about the Box of Blessings route, Curse with Calamity, and the Blast with a Miracle engines. These are basically the two engines you get with that final choice between the prime number boxes and the odd number boxes. So if you choose the prime number boxes one, which is actually the correct answer. The boxes revived the girls, which felt very rewarding. It was almost like that DBZ episode after the Frieza fight, where they revive all their friends that were killed by Nappa and Vegeta. It was really something to see. The Curse with Calamity, the Odd Boxes one. It was very interesting too, and I think it was a very interesting use of Aito right at the end. So I really like those two endings. So now I'm gonna talk about a couple of the multiple Aitos endings, and man, what a route multiple Aitos was. Although it's not the order I play, I definitely think that there's a lot to be gained from playing this route after playing the killing game route, as it increases your hate towards Aito and hints at the consequences of absorbing him, setting up this route here really nicely. This route has four incredible and distinct engines, and out of all of them, there's only one that I found that was kind of random, which was the one where Takumi embraces the hate and just starts killing everyone. Uh, Although it makes some sense as he really hated Aito, that felt beyond out of character for him. Uh, I, as I said, I can understand how he got to this point, but I think it was a stretch. I ranked that one number 46 in the average quality group. However, there is one engine that I thought it was so good that it entered my top 20 engines of this game. So right now, I'm actually gonna talk about the middle of the pack, the two engines that are right between the best and the worst, which are the multiple Atos routes Together Forever and Tragic Enge. Uh, and number 33, I put Together Forever, which I really like. I think this route really teased early on that this was going to happen by showing him looking in the mirror multiple times, but it didn't diminish the fact of Takumi looking in the mirror and seeing Aito's face instead of him. It was really, really dark stuff. But I actually prefer the other one, the A Tragic End one, which is the one in the picture here. Uh, this is the one where all his remaining friends decided that Takumi needed to die, and he was just basically killing everybody. So in his final breath, Takumi wishes to see his friends one last time, but Aito refuses to let him see anything other than his face. So you're not even sure who are these three people that are actually who are killing Takumi right at the end. Once again, this route feels really incredible overall. Seeing these two rivals trying to outsmart each other while sharing the same hedge feels weirdly original. And I don't know if I'm imagining things, but it feels like there was a small inspiration in Doki Doki Literature Club here, maybe. Don't know if you guys picked up on that as well. Next, we're gonna go through half of the slasher route. So the slasher route has 8 engines overall, and by this point in the video, I only went through one of them, which was the Flight of the Living Dead, that I thought was a choice that didn't really make sense for Takumi to make. So this kind of speaks to how highly I think of this route in general, which was that I thought it was really good. This game sometimes feels like a love letter to visual novels in general. It might not have worked as a comedy visual novel, and only kind of worked as a detective visual novel and romance visual novel, counting the game as a whole, not just the dreadful romance route. But I feel like it really worked as a psychological horror visual novel. So the half I'm going to talk about now are these four. At rank 31 we have Revenge. This is the one where serial killer Takumi has to choose between going after Hiroko or Nozomi at the end, and the player chooses Hiroko. So Takumi ends up killing Hiroko, and then Nozomi kills Takumi, thinking he betrayed every one of them at the end. And at rank 30, we have the three of us, which is the one where Nozomi successfully escapes with Shoma and Kyoshika at the end by killing the serial killer in the Wall of Flames. At rank 29, we have Kyoshika's Last Wish. This is the one where Takumi and Kyoshika are the only two SDU members left. So they tried to escape on day 100, but the zombies got to them. So Kyoshika sacrifices herself so that Takumi could get on the ship. So yeah, not a great ending. And at rank 28, we have Kurara's Last Stand, which is the one in the picture here, where zombie Takumi decides to not bite Kurara, and Kurara somehow, some way, is able to take the chainsaw and kill every zombie, which was awesome to see. So just going through a few more points here about this route. I really would have liked if the hallway gameplay parts reflect the psychological horror of the story a bit more. It felt like a really simple gameplay, but once again, I'm not analyzing gameplay here. Uh, all I know is that seeing these characters slowly being picked off one by one till there was almost no one left, and you being clueless as to who was doing it was scary AF. And the zombie part, I think the zombie part shouldn't have worked, but somehow it did. Even though this was a visual novel, I kind of feel like they were able to up the scare factor with you thinking that anytime one of these zombies could take one of your group out, uh, almost like this was Resident Evil or something. I will say that I did not like the Yugamo being used as a red herring, as a fake serial killer. I thought that was a bit random, and even if he's portrayed as this assassin, it felt a bit out of character for him. But it did not diminish the experience of this route for me. I thought this route was really great. Next is Takumi's Guilt engines. We are entering the excellent engines territory now. The whole ghost subplot can be a little hit or miss for most people, especially with Gaku's exorcisms random bogus, but it was a couple of incredible engines. And I am of course referring to the Box of Calamity route Ghost Unmasked and the Box of Calamity route Blood on My Hands engines. And these are the engines where it's shown that Takumi wasn't actually seeing ghosts, he was more like projecting his guilt over Ava's death uh, into the ghosts. So it was not something that hasn't been done before, but it still felt pretty good writing all the same. In Engine 37, where Takumi listens to his own voice while being choked by what he thinks is the ghost, is spine-chilling stuff. And the other one, where he realizes this and starts laughing maniacally, is also pretty good. So a couple of excellent changes here. It might feel like I'm going through these two a bit fast, but I think those are one of the cases where you just have to see it to feel it, because it's really hard to describe the emotion you get from seeing these endings. So the next two engines are ones I like to call the Romance the Invaders engines. I am of course here referring to the Eva route and the Veshnus route. So I think while they were developing this game, they decided that Takumi needed to date every one of the girls except Kako and Moko for some reason. Maybe there was a plan for that, but it was scrapped or something. But it still gave us the cute romance with Nozomi in the coming of age route, sweet romantic relationship with Tsubasa in the killing game route, uh, bittersweet love with Hiruko in the SF route, and I guess the okay relationship with Kyoshika and Kurara in the romance route. And this one route to date the antagonist ally, and another route to fall for the main big badge of this game. These two routes were incredible in their level of quality. Writing felt on point for both, and they gave us insight into two incredible characters of this game. I'm not actually going to get into these routes much now because both of them had exactly two engines each, with one of each gaining a spot in my top 20 engines. So I am here to talk about the engines that I felt were inferior. Actually, inferior is the wrong word here because it might imply that they aren't great, but like I said before, we are in the excellent territory now. So by the inferior ones, I meant the 25 Eva route The Wanderers, which was the image you saw before, where Takumi decides to run away with Eva and escape from the fight at the end, and the Veshnus route making the impossible possible, where Takumi decides he needs to try to stop Veshnus no matter what it takes, so he stabs her in the back, but it's pointless because Veshnus is way too strong at this point, so she kills everybody, asks Takumi to absorb them, and they have a final fight. Thinking on it, I guess I can't call this engine with Veshnus Romance the Invaders engine, but yeah, you get what I mean. So now I'm going to start counting them down one by one, and as I said before, this video is only supposed to go through engine rank 100 to rank 21. So there's only three engines left, starting with the 23. So number 23 is the Reset Route Welcome to Last Defense Academy engine. The Reset Route feels like a bad engine, but expertly written one, as this group of characters had decided to fight for mankind, but when the humans died, they had to defy Surrey one last time, so that at least the Futrons can be saved, but the player chooses not to, which leads to this engine. I'm going to go on a side note for a bit. I think I'm one of the few people who really like the Rebellion route, at least one of the engines, because I think what made sense for these characters at this time was to rebel against humanity, not to fight for it. So I like the idea that this choice to fight for humanity led to this bad engine where they essentially become different people and kinda go back at the beginning to the beginning like a cycle. I get that this situation changes drastically when all the humans are wiped out, but I still think the game shouldn't give the player this final choice because this engine feels fitting for this group of characters that chose to fight for what essentially are the bad guys. Not trying to diss on humanity here, just on the whole will of humanity that this game presented. But overall, I think this was a great engine. Now, the second to last engine of this video, it's engine number 22, which was the SF Route Academy Destroyed engine. I really love the staging for fundamentals route. The whole idea of the Livor Mortis code felt like a huge nod to 999's bracelet numbers and to Zero Time Dilemma X Doors codes, two of Ushikoshi's previous games. By games, I mean masterpieces. In this engine here, Academy Destroy, where it's revealed that the satellite's plan was always to kill them in a scenario where only one of them survived, really took me for a loop here. I was very surprised. I thought this was very well done in terms of subverting expectations. Uh, but as it turns out, this will still be a very important element to achieve the perfect engine, which I'm gonna talk about in my next video. Uh, I don't have much more to say other than this was excellent stuff, a really incredible engine. And now we have the last engine of this video, which was rank 21, and that title goes to SF Route Revenge of Kakoji. So the last engine, Academy Destroyed, it really reminded me of Zero Time Dilemma and 999. But this one reminds me of the other part of the trilogy, which was Virtue's Last Reward, which was probably the best one of the three. Might have felt like a cheap engine to just kill everybody. I don't deny that, but man, this scene of Takumi and Hiruko not finding anyone, completely nervous and scared about what could have happened, and then entering the pool to discover 14 dead bodies all at once. After all the trouble they went to keep everybody alive, man, was just heartbreaking stuff. Honestly, other Ushikoshi games had similar engines. There was one in particular in Virtue's Last Reward that gave me the exact feels, but I still think it was done better in this game. And as if it wasn't enough to have everybody dying, Kakuji kills Takumi and Hiruko at the end as well. So I think overall this engine is a reminder of how well these guys can do suspense in horror. Just amazing stuff. And this is it for this video, guys. As you can see here, my next video, of course, is going to be the 100 line Last Defense Academy top 20 engines. I already have the slides in the script for it done, and hopefully I won't take long to upload the video. I just want to thank you guys for reaching this and reaching the end of this video. As I said at the beginning, it was my first YouTube video. I really enjoyed making it, and I hope you like watching it. So, uh, bye, guys.